Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kashmala Rauf. Today we will going to discuss about language and memory. That what is memory and how it helps to build our language. First of all, we are going to discuss about the content that what we are going to discuss in our topic. The first thing is the definition of memory. That what is memory? The second one is the divisions of memory. Memory is divided into three types. First one is the sensory memory, second is the short-term memory, and the third is the long-term memory. And again, the long-term memory is also classified into two types. The further division of long-term memory, it is divided into explicit memory, which is also called declarative memory, and the implicit memory, which is known as non-declarative memory. Now move on to the definition of memory. Memory is the mean or medium by which we draw on our past experiences or past knowledge in order to use that information or that past experiences in the present or in the future also. Actually, memory is a term given to the structures and processes that are involved in the storage and subsequent retrieval of information. Memory is essential to all our lives. Think about a life without memory. Without memory of the past, we cannot operate in the present or think about our future. We would not be able to remember what we did yesterday, what we have to do today, or what we plan to do tomorrow without memory. We could not learn anything without memory. So, memory is the basic need or basic part of our lives. What is memory? The simple review that mental ability to retain or recall past experiences or knowledge. Memory is based on three mental processes. The first one is learning, the learning of things around us. The second one is retention, keep these things in mind for a long period or a short period. And the third one is recall and retrieval. Recall that information which you stored in the mind for some use in the present. The basic memory processes involve three basic stages: encoding, second is storage, and the third is retrieval. In part 1 we are going to discuss encoding, the process of converting physical stimuli into the form that brain's memory system can interpret and use. Encoding allows information from outside the world around us, to reach our senses in the form of chemical and physical stimuli. In the first stage, we must change information so that we may put it into the encoding process. What the boy does, he is reading a book. This is the physical thing that he is reading, so he changed this physical stimuli into the encoding process, and after it he retain it in his mind, and after some days or after some time he recall when he want to use this memory, he recall this memory. Types of encoding. There are three major types of encoding. The first one is acoustic, related to ears. It includes sounds, for example music, the sound of video, or the spoken word. We spoke many words in our daily life, so these all are the acoustic encoding. The second one is visual, related to image, mental snapshots. Visual encoding is the process of encoding images and visual sensory information. The creation of mental picture, like mental snapshot we take from everywhere around us, is one way people use visual encoding. This type of information is temporarily stored in iconic memory. Iconic memory means these are temporarily stored in your eyes and then is moved to the long-term memory for storage. Semantic memory. Semantic encoding. Semantic encoding includes the general meaning, the concept and ideas of the thing. What type of encoding would be used to memorize this picture? Visual encoding is used to memorize this picture. For example, when we see this picture, we maybe store it in our mind or in our iconic encoding. We store it in our eyes, and afterwards we change it into our long-term memory or short-term memory by retaining it or recalling it again and again. How about this problem? Like 4 plus 7 is equal to what? This is a concept of addition. So this it is the concept of something, so this includes the semantic encoding, the idea of addition. If we do not know the idea of addition, how would we solve this problem? So the idea of addition is conceptual. If we have the concept of addition, so we would be able to solve this example. So this includes to semantic encoding. The part 2 is storage. The process of keeping memories intact in the brain's memory system over time, over a period of time. This period may be a long-term period or short-term period. The memory that we store in mind may be short-term or it may be a long-term. Storage is the second memory stage of process in which we maintain information over a small or a long time. Now what type of memories we store in our mind? 3 types of memories that we can store in our mind. First one is the episodic memory. Episodic memory include the specific events or episodes. What is meant by specific events? Specific events like the birthday date of someone or the wedding anniversary date or etc. etc. These are included in episodic. The second one is procedural. What is procedural memory? Information of how to do things included in procedural. The word is written, repetition is key. If we keep repeating the things again and again, so we intact these things in our brain or make it a part of our memory. Like how to ride a bike. We ride a bike every day usually, so we repeat riding a bike day by day, it means every day. So we know that we repeat this procedure again and again, so we intact this procedure in our brain, so we know how to ride a bike. So this including procedural memories. We also tie shoe every day, walking every day, so these are all including procedural memories. The third one is semantics. As I discussed previous, that the semantics include the generalized knowledge of concepts or ideas. So here is the information about the Newton's second law of motion. Newton's second law of motion is a concept. If we have the knowledge or the concept about the Newton's second law of motion, so this including semantic memory. The process of the third part is the retrieval, that the process of locating specific memories in storage and bringing them into consciousness. We have many memories in our mind. We have to locate, if we want to recall some memory, we have to locate some specific memory, that what type of memory it should be, or bring them into consciousness by recalling and then retrieve this memory. Sensory memory. This is the division of now the divisions of memory are started. The first division is the sensory memory. It is the intermediate initial recording that comes in through the senses. All the senses have sensory register, that sense is sensory memory. Sensory memory is the shortest memory. It is the ability to retain impression of sensory information after the original stimuli have ended. It acts as a kind of buffer for stimuli received through the 5 senses of sight, smell, hear, touch and taste, which are retained accurately but very briefly. Like for example, the ability to look at something and remember what it looked like, with just few seconds of observation is an example of sensory memory. It is the short-term element of memory. Now sensory memory is divided into three types. The sensory memory for visual stimuli, for seeing something or store it in our mind, is called iconic memory. The second one is hepatic memory. Hepatic memory refers to the touch, and the echoic refers to the sound. So the echoic memory is the memory for oral stimuli is called echoic memory, like this sound or spoken words etc. included in echoic. Now move to the brief discussion about short-term memory. This is the second division of memory. Short-term memory, also known as primary or active memory, is the information we are currently aware of or thinking about. The information found in short-term memory comes from paying attention to sensory memory. When we see a thing for a short period of time, if we pay attention on that thing, so it become a short-term memory. Now short-term memory is very brief. How? When short-term memory are not rehearsed, when short-term memories are not rehearsed or actively maintained, they last mere seconds. Or if we rehearse it again and again, they become the part of long-term memory. Short-term memory is also limited. It is commonly suggested that the short-term memory can hold 7 plus or minus 2 items. Now move on to the duration of short-term memory. The duration of short-term memory is 20 to 30 seconds approximately, but it can be just seconds if rehearsed or active maintenance of the information is prevented. Some information can last in short-term memory up to 1 minute, but most information is spontaneously decay quite quickly because we don't rehearse or maintain that information by paying attention on it. So this memory will be decayed quickly. How it decayed quickly? For example, imagine that you are trying to remember a phone number. The other person who is giving the phone number rattle off the phone number, and you make a quick mental tone like, yes, I have received the phone number. Moments later you realize that you have already forgotten the number. Without rehearsing or continuing to repeat the number until it is committed to memory, the information is quickly lost for short-term memory. If we rehearse that number again and again, so we will able to recall it again at some other time. Long-term memory. Long-term memory refers to the storage of information over an extended period of time. If you can remember something that happens just a few moments ago, whether it occurs just hours ago or decades early, then it is long-term memory. Some important points that we have to know about long-term memory are these three follows. First one is long-term memories are often outside of the conscious mind. How? This information is largely outside of our awareness because we are not under our conscious control, so it is outside of our awareness, but can be called into working memory to be used when needed. It is easy to recall. Some of this information is relatively easy to recall, but other memories are much harder to access. The second one is not all long-term memories are created equal. The information that is of greater importance led to stronger recall. You can usually remember important events such as your wedding days or the birth of your first child with much greater clarity and detailed than you can less memorable days. While some memories spring to mind quickly after getting them, and some are weaker and might require prompts or reminder to bring them into focus. The third one is the memory that are frequently accessed also become much stronger and easier to recall. Like if we're accessing the memory again and again, it strengthens the neural network in which the information is encoded, led to easier recollection of this information. On the other hand, The memories that are not recalled often can sometimes weaken or even be lost. They can be lost or replaced by the new ones. As we discussed previous, that the short-term memory becomes the long-term memory by chunking or rehearsals. Long-term memory is also susceptible to the forgetting process. Long-term memory lasts for a matter of days to as long as many decades. The number of times you access a memory you can play a role in strength and duration of memory. Not surprisingly, memories that you have recalled often tend to stick around and become much stronger. That's why repeating information over and over again while you are studying led to better recall on an exam. Now again, there is again the topic of exam recalling, learning of exam, preparation of exams. Now, the types of long-term memory. The long-term memory is divided into two types. Explicit memory, which is also known as declarative memory, and the second one is implicit memory, which is also known as non-declarative memory. Explicit memory is further divided into two types, and the implicit memory is divided into one type. The types of explicit memory is the episodic memory and semantic memory. Explicit memory include all the memories that are available in your consciousness, like episodic memories, specific events like birthday dates or wedding anniversary dates, etc., or events like others, and semantic, like the ideas and concepts that are declarative. And the implicit memory is further divided into procedural memory. Implicit memories are those that are mostly unconscious. We do it again and again by unconsciously. This type of memory is the procedural memory, memories of body movement and how to use objects in the environment, like how to drive a car. If we know how to drive a car, we drive that car again and again, day by day. So this is going to be a procedure of a day. Or using a computer are example of procedural memory. Thank you so much.